Wow.
But I feel like we have to talk about things like this, and we have to remember that we can all be incorporated in living as one, and we don't need to sacrifice our roots and where we come from in order to fit in or to live here. Welcome back to another episode of Gemini Talks, where we talk about whatever, anything we want. Today we don't have my husband, we have my son, Romeo Bellamy. Hi, Romeo.
Hi.
Hi, what's up?
Good.
Welcome to my podcast. Thank you for filling in for your father.
Thank you. It's very good to be here.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We have a pretty interesting topic today. Where instead of doing conspiracies, we're going to take a little break and go into history. But this is kind of not a conspiracy. So, I mean, what is a conspiracy? Is it stuff that's hidden, or people that make up, try to put clues and pieces together to things that don't make sense, or to things that we haven't been exposed to, or they've been pretty much just hidden. And I'm saying that because it kind of ties in, because the fire department in Tulsa itself, they have a history. They record the history of the fire department. And from 1897 to 2017, there is no record of the fire, the incident that we are about to talk today. But before we get into it, Romeo, are you ready for a little history lesson? Are you ready to learn big words today?
It's not real.
Yes, it is. This is history. It may not be in history. I don't remember learning it in high school or anything. I know Black History Month, we did talk about, Black history. But I don't remember it. If you guys remember talking about this in high school, comment down below in the comments and let me know. But I personally do not remember.
Let's just get into this.
So, you just want to get into it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So be prepared. So this is a history lesson. This happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that's in southern United States. That's south of the United States, in the early 1900s. So this was over 100 years ago, or about 100 years ago. We actually just, June 1st was the anniversary, the 101st anniversary of the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. So in the early 1900s, when the U.S. was segregated back in the day, blacks had to live separate from the whites. So they had to go to school together, separate. They had to go to church separate, everything. The neighborhoods was the same, separate. So no blacks were allowed to basically live or shop where the whites were. And there was a lot of towns in Oklahoma. There was over 60 towns or communities in Oklahoma, which was the most in the United States. There was a place in Greenwood Avenue in Tulsa. It was sources are different. Some say 30, some say 32, some say 38. But it was around that, a whole block. Imagine like 38 blocks of streets. You know what a block is?
Yeah,
a square every time you turn.
Mm-hmm.
A street.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm a woman. I can't explain.
I can explain.
Driving stuff. Okay. So. Where was I? I have a lot of notes. Sorry. So between this, we'll just say 38 blocks. Between this 38 block, it was blacks only, and they were forced to live and shop, like I said, within the radius. And it was a welcoming town of American Indians. And in the things that I studied, they called the Indians also Aboriginals and like black Black Indians. So I'm not sure. I know Aboriginals. I looked it up, and it says Native people from what is it? New Zealand, Australia. Yep. So I don't know, but it was all within the USA. So that was a little confusing to me. So if anybody can explain that, please do. So anyways, the black dollar was circulating within the 38 square block. And they said that the black dollar it circulated 18 months within their own community. Do you know what that means? Kind of, I'll explain it. So let's say you have a business of socks and I have a business of shoes. You buy from me, I buy from you, and we keep buying from each other. So we just keep making each other, our dollars keep circulating. So this is pretty much what happened, and it happened pretty rapidly and exponentially. And this mythology evolved many prosperous businesses, single-handedly becoming highly favored and respected, the most respected land in America. And admired by many. Like I said, they welcomed also the natives. So it's pretty prosperous. A lot of people were inspired to open up their own businesses. And it came a long way after the Civil War ended in 1865. And it became the settlement of 40 or more Southern Indian tribes. They welcomed many free slaves. But despite all of that, there was still a lot of racism because white people lived in Oklahoma. And then the Aboriginals, they say that they discovered oil in Oklahoma, and once they reached high success, the white people or the government, I'm not really sure, they started taking the land by placing themselves where the Indians had settled in their settlements. And they said, we're going to take over your settlements, but you can have land somewhere in Oklahoma. So that was their bargain. And then around this time, the U.S. government listed all full-blooded Aboriginals and colored and everything as black. So all of the tribes, the 40 other tribes that we mentioned, they were all classified as black. While simultaneously, the white people were allowed to become identified as Indians by paying $5 illegally to get the Indians' land. And reparations. So not only were they wiping out the races, they were also taking the land and calling themselves Indians and reaping the reparations. But either way, countless of all black communities, the white Americans called it Little Africa, while Booker T. Washington, who's a famous civil rights activist, called it Black Wall Street because it was the wealthiest black community in all of America. And here's just a few things that it boasted. It had elegant brick houses and mansions, movie theaters, banks, groceries, restaurants, pharmacies, hospitals with all black staff. And like I said, this is all black owned. Internationally acclaimed surgeon in this hospital, restaurants, churches, newspaper and media, law offices, a bus company, their own school district, a business college, 2 airports, one of them which was owned by one of the black oil tycoons. And this little area had more black millionaires reside than the entire USA. Minimum wage and the living standard was better quality than anywhere else in the USA. They were targeted especially when they were trying to start doing business internationally with people such as France, South America, Asia, and China. And then something very unfortunate happened on May 31st, 1921. Dick Rowland was a shoe shining boy and he was at work shining shoes. There was no bathroom, so he had to go to an elevator to use an all-colored restroom when the elevator somehow stumbled or wasn't working and it got jammed, and he bumped into the elevator operator, who was a white 17-year-old girl named Sarah. She screamed, and there was bystanders who seen it, and then accusations came of him attacking a white woman. He ran away, but eventually got caught and went to jail. And then the newspaper got a hold of it, and it was just another excuse for another lynching, because at this time there was a lot of lynchings going on. And so the newspaper was pretty much enticing, oh, tonight it looks like there's going to be one more lynching here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And this caused a mob of over 2,000 white people of men demanding justice. Even though Sarah, the girl who all of this started with, she later confessed that she was not harmed or raped, that nothing really happened. Either way, the mob was already, angry, and they still wanted to lynch Roland. Even though they had no basis of fact, she said there was no injustice. So either way, they wanted to do more lynching, but the Tulsa, Oklahoma people, a lot of the Black Army people, they all came together and said, no more. There's not going to be not one more lynching. And then, as you can imagine, shots fired, and everything ensued. The massacre ensued. They had bombs dropping from airplanes. They set all the buildings on fire. They were shooting people. And it lasted around 24 hours, leaving over 300 dead, thousands homeless, and thousands also injured. So yeah, they set the richest town in America. They blew it to smithereens. It was to the ground. What else? And out of all of this, not one white person was convicted or held responsible. The city was negligent in preventing any of this sort of things. There was decades of silence because of fear. And there was also dozens of Black people indicted for enticing a riot. And it was never acknowledged by the city or the state. Like I said earlier, even the Tulsa Fire Department history book, or whatever it is, from 1897 to 2017, made no mention of the massacre. So yeah, it's pretty heavy. The property loss is estimated to be about $32 million in today's dollars. And then after this, and even before this, a lot of Black towns who were being successful were eventually being wiped down the same way, pretty much. And yeah, that's history. It's pretty heavy.
Wow.
But I feel like we have to talk about things like this, and we have to remember that we can all be incorporated in living as one, and we don't need to sacrifice our roots and where we come from in order to fit in or to live here. I really think it is a great idea, and I think we should bring it back, of doing another Black Wall Street, a Mexican Wall Street, whatever, an Italian Wall Street. This is the only way we're going to be able to thrive and to actually really help and come together. Our dollars should be and should have always been circulating within our community. I don't want to make people across the country rich, or another billion rich, even richer, who doesn't care about me, who doesn't know about me. I would rather make my neighbor and the people who live within my community rich. What do you think? It's a lot, huh?
Yeah, it's
And
a lot.
this stuff is things that they should be teaching you in school, but they don't, because it's part of our history. It's part of our history. We can't erase it. A lot of the children at the time, after that, grew up and didn't know anything about it. There was kids and children of children that witnessed and went through this massacre who don't know anything about it. That's how wiped down and silenced it is. But I'm very thankful for the internet and for things like this where, even if one or two people see this, hopefully maybe you can share or look into it yourself and research, and let's figure out a way how we can keep our dollars and our monies and everything circulating within us, within our community. So I think that's the only way we're going to perpetually prosper. And it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. I don't know why we haven't done this before, why nobody's thinking of it, but this is it. And like I said, I don't want to lose my culture in order to fit in or in order to make money. I want to make my money, and I want to sell my goods and what I have to offer to the people, and that's my culture. That's it's my way of life. It's everything is pretty much connected. And they welcomed slaves and refugees, and I feel like we need to figure out a way to see this whole border and thing. There's no reason for us to be doing that. That's not a way to prosper. We could learn a lot from Black Wall Street in many, many ways. And I really like the Mercado on Fifth. It's really cool to see a lot of Hispanics come together and do an event so great like that here in the community just down the street. And this also helps us be creative and think of things that's a win-win-win. And a win is, good for me, good for you, and good for the world, the environment, where we live at, where we lay our head. So let's keep sharing. Let's keep opening our history books or other sources, not our school history books. There's many other books out there to be read, and that I suggest as well. So yeah, what else do you gotta say? What else do we gotta talk about?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Was that heavy? What do you think?
I wasn't even paying attention.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was.
Dang. Well, maybe I'll bring a clown suit with me next time so you can pay attention to me. Yeah?
No.
This concludes our story. A few announcements, though. We are still selling our cheese dip line at Hy-Vee's, at your local Hy-Vee's. I'll have a list of them up on the screen, and we're going to be starting to sell our salsas. We are going to be changing our name eventually here soon, but I'll let you know to which brand or which to look for at Hy-Vee's. So I'll keep you posted. Follow us on Facebook and give us a like. Tag yourself when you're there, and make sure to book us for your caterings. Reserve a table for your party, and come enjoy yourselves for Taco Tuesday and Rice with Chicken Wednesday. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yeah, we're ending.
Bye-bye.